Hey folks, welcome back to Teaming with Nature. Here we are in our Probiotic Kitchen. We're always looking to improve our health and vitality here, and it's a pleasure to offer new information to you. What I want to cover today are some frequently asked questions that I get from this the Teaming with Nature channel on YouTube. I'm going to first cover some questions that I get about kefir ginger ale, then I'll cover questions that I receive about milk kefiring as well. So number one question I get about the kefir ginger ale is how long does it take for it to kefir into ginger ale? It's not an easy question for me to answer because there are a lot of factors that play into it. I want to cover a few factors and then just tell you how I know when it's done so that you can learn to distinguish that as well, because it is an artisan craft. The number of kefir grains you have in here definitely are going to play a role in how fast it kefirs. How long have you been using the kefir grains? Are they getting towards the end of their productive cycle? How much sugar is in here? By all means, what's the temp in your temperature in your kitchen? What's the temperature in your kitchen? Are all going to play a factor in how long it takes for the kefir grains to convert the sugars in the ginger ale and make a good ginger ale for you to drink. How I know it's done is by two things. What I did in the beginning is I would taste the blend that I make in the beginning, and I encourage you to taste it in the beginning and see how sugary it is, see how sweet it is, and then about 24 hours later taste it again. And you should taste that it's not sugary, but it's not real sour yet either. It's not sour like a kombucha drink or something like that. It's just real mild. It's got a faint ginger to it, slightly sour, but not real sweet at all, by all means. That means that it's done. The main way that I check also is when I pour off a glass, I'll see it effervesce. I'll see little bubbles, carbonation along the sides of the glass, and I sometimes see it in the container here as well. Let's see, number two question. Do the kefir grains grow in the ginger ale? No, they don't. The kefir grains that I use here are from my milk kefiring process. So once I convert them from here over to the ginger ale, they're done. They stay there and they don't propagate. I get maybe 8 or 10 batches out of these kefir grains before they start losing their vitality, and I replace them with fresh kefir grains from my milk kefiring process. When I first began this, I would get only maybe 3 or 5, maybe 6 batches because I'd left it sitting out too long, and it would pickle the kefir grains. And I'll give you a hint here as well. When I turn over my ginger ale, I don't turn them over all at once as far as the kefir grains. I'll go in here and I see a few right now that I'll probably turn over today when I change this out. Kefir grains get pickled, so some of them have been in there longer than others. I've found great success in just taking out the pickled ones, leaving the rest in there, taking a few fresh ones from here, rinsing them in some filtered water, get all the milk off of them as you can, and then putting them right in. I've had no transition downtime. When I go on a long vacation or something and I have to start over from here, it may take me one time for the kefir grains to get used to digesting the honey that I use in order to make the ginger ale. Let's see, another question. Once I've made ginger ale with my kefir grains, can I put them back into the milk? Now, I've never tried that process. My research says no, I don't encourage it. Frankly, I get such a proliferation of milk kefir grains off of the milk process that I do, the milk kefiring, that I always have plenty to put into ginger ale. So I don't see a need to be able to take them back the other way. Theoretically, you could do that. You try it. Let me know. Let me know what happens. Another question I get is, what about using other types of sugar like agave? By all means, I'm sure you can use agave. You could use any sugar you want. In fact, some of the best ginger ale I made was I lowered the amount of honey and I put a few figs in there, and the flavor that came off of it was fabulous. Very, very delicious ginger ale. It just has to be some sort of sugar, whether it's, fructose or malt or lactose like in milk sugars, or agave is fructose or honey or whatever it is, maple syrup, doesn't really matter. Now, I don't recommend you shift sugar to sugar because you're going to force the kefir grain to figure out a new digestive process to be able to digest and to be able to digest the form of sugar in there. Once you pick something, stick with it, but I'm sure you could use whatever you want. How do you prepare the grains to make a switch from milk to honey? Very simple. I take the kefir grains out of the milk, I swish them in some filtered water, toss them into the ginger ale, and they're good to go. One other thing I want to cover, when I shot the ginger ale video, I used to use a half-gallon jar with a mason lid on it like this, and I've since switched to a pressure lid like this because one day my family and I were around the house and we heard a bang, big firecracker sound go off, and the pressure from the ginger ale, from the carbonation, the kefiring action, blew this lid off of the half-gallon jar. Now, you won't really be able to see it on the video, but all the threading here is all stripped out. It just tore this off, and I don't know what happened here because I wasn't in the room, but this is all bent and curved up. I mean, a lot of pressure. So, two things to remember here. Switch over to a stronger jar, and also leave yourself some space at the top. Never fill it all the way up because you're not giving enough air there to be able to pressurize and compensate for all the pressure that the ginger ale is generating. Okay, let's talk about milk kefiring. Number one question I get here, where do you get your milk kefirs? Where do I get milk kefirs? By all means, there's tons of people on eBay, there's people on Craigslist, I'm sure in your area, that sell kefir grains. We do provide kefir grains to people. I don't sell them. It's an honor for me to have these, so I like to give them to people. By all means, I'd want you to pay for shipping, and we've done this for people in the past. It's an enjoyment and honor for me to be able to pass these on that my family and I have found so much benefit having in our lives. Let's see. How about another question? Doesn't a kefir starter kit make kefir grains? No, I'm not a big fan of kefir starter kits. Okay, let me explain why. The kefir grains are a live, active process. They're organisms. All right, so when we're using these, this is the heirloom method that has stood the test of time. It's been around forever. All right, kefir starter kit, in a pinch, yeah, it should work. My guess is you wouldn't have the proliferation of organisms in it, all the beneficial, the probiotics. And I've never done a lab analysis to test that, but that's just my gut sense about it. So using a kefir starter kit will not make kefir grains. You're going to keep going back to that company or that person or whoever and buy more starter. One benefit, I suppose, of using a kefir starter kit is you can try it once and then walk away from it for months because it's in a powder form. It's just sitting there. You know, I can see the benefit of that, but at the same time, I can take this and put this in the fridge for weeks. If I don't want to do it, if I want to take a break, if I'm going on vacation, whatever, I can put this in the fridge and it'll slow it down so much that it'll sit there for weeks. Literally months is what I've researched. I've never put it in there for months, but that's my understanding. And the last question I get, or I've gotten recently, is my kefir grains look different. What about the different types of kefir grains? Now what I use here are the big globule milk kefir grains. This is what I've seen commonly. You'll also see smaller ones that are much smaller, like the size of a puffed up grain of rice. Those are your water kefir grains. That's for ginger ale, truly, and those kefir grains will actually reproduce and propagate, whereas these milk kefir grains do not in a water-based solution. And then the third type of kefir grain I came across is actually to make Pima milk, and it's kind of long and ropey looking and thicker and kind of chewier, and just, I didn't like it as much. I mixed it in with my kefir grains. I didn't like the product that it was generating, so I stopped using that and I just went back to my regular kefir grains. One other thing I want to point out, this is a really good window right now to be able to see a done kefir, milk kefir. You got a real clear separation. I think you'll be able to see this on the video, of the curds on top and then the whey on the bottom. The real obvious separation. This is my milk kefir that I will transfer into here tonight. So I hope that helps. Holler with any other questions. It's a real pleasure for me to be able to answer them what I can. And holler with any others. I'm here to help. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.